So, I have two deals hanging by a thread right now, meaning that any minute now they could bomb. And this is very unfortunate for everybody involved in these transactions because both of them have been under contract for about 3 to 4 weeks already, meaning that there's a seller invested, there's a lender invested, there's a title company invested, there's the buyer invested, there's the realtors invested, but also the clients that are my clients are the buyers, and they've also got a lot of money invested. And so I'm going to give you 3 tips on what to do to ensure that when it's your time to buy or sell or get in the market, you don't bomb the deal. So the first one is, before you even get started, get firm on your decision to buy and or sell. What do I mean by that? I mean, take the time to get all of the information that you need, do the due diligence, meet with your realtor, meet with your lender, go over all the costs to expect, timelines to expect, and pay attention. So if you know me, you know I love kids. I really, really do. I can't get enough of them. I love them. I adore them. I extra love them when they're little and running around and like barely speaking. However, bringing them to your initial consultations, especially whether it be with myself, another realtor, your lender, is not the best idea. And I say that because unfortunately, I obviously do host consultations with clients and their little ones. And what I find is that these are the clients that are the most distracted. And so they are not able to really get all the information, like soak all the information up, ask the questions they need to ask, and get a firm understanding of what they're about to walk into. And if you don't have a firm understanding of what you're about to walk into, which was the point of that consultation to begin with, how are you going to have a firm grasp on your decision to move forward or not to move forward? That's what I mean by stand firm in your decision. Like, really take the time to figure out if this is the time for you to make that move. The second thing that I would say is be patient and stick to the plan. So typically, whenever I have a buyer or a seller coming to me for that initial consultation, we're usually a few months out from our target time of actually moving forward. For buyers, I think the quickest that we usually move is about 3 months out. For sellers, I have sellers that come and ask me for that consultation as early as a year out. And even some buyers also. It just kind of depends on where you're at in the process. Are you set up with your credit? Is your credit looking good? Are your FICO scores looking, or is your FICO score looking good? Do you have late payments? Have you had any recent repossessions or not evictions, repossessions or bankruptcies or foreclosures? Have you been employed for at least 2 years, or are you still working on that year? So everybody's timeline is different. And that's why I say be patient and stick to your plan. So initially, whenever I meet with my clients for the first time, it's the initial consultation. We're really just going over, hey, here's what the process looks like from start to finish. Here's your costs to expect, your timelines to expect. I take the time to answer any questions or concerns that they have. And then if they feel that they're ready to move forward, then we work out a plan for them, right? But some people's plan is to wait a few months before they get started. So I'll share a story with you. I had a couple that I was working with, and they wanted to sell their current property and purchase another property. So when we first had the consultation, after we ran initial numbers and, we went over everything, they came to the decision right there in that moment. They knew that, you know what? Why don't we pay off this debt that we have first? It was like credit cards, maybe a car payment, whatever it may be. Because we know that once we pay this off, our credit is going to be a little bit better. So the better your credit, the lower your interest rate, the lower your interest rate, the higher your buying power. So let's do this first and we'll wait. And I think we had said that we were going to wait about 4 months. And then at the 4-month mark, we were going to start moving forward, meaning that they really weren't going to be moving into their new home for about another 7 months, because we still had to put their house on the market. We still had to market it, get it under contract, and do all the things. So this was about a 6, 7, 8-month plan that we had put together. Well, they waited about a month and a half, and they got impatient. They went out and they started looking at model homes, new build homes, and they absolutely fell in love with their new dream home. And they wanted to move sooner than not. And so, disclaimer, as your realtor or as your realtor, we're just your consultant. We're your advisor, but at the end of the day, you call the shots. So our job is to give you the options, explain them. A lot of times it's here's the your best case scenario, here's your worst case scenario. But at the end of the day, we don't call the shots. We don't sign anything for you saying, yes, she agrees to purchase this house at $300,000. This is what, no, like you are the one that really calls the shots. So if my client calls me back and they're like, Denise, I just found this house. It's my dream home. I want to move on it. I know we said we were going to wait, but you know what? We already looked everything over. And after looking everything over, we're good to go. Okay. If you're comfortable moving forward now, then let's move forward now. So let's fast forward that story a little bit. We got under contract. We went to the extent of picking all the colors, picking all the stone, picking all the backsplash, picking all the counters. I mean, they customized this house. And we put their house on the market. We marketed it. I even got offers on the property. And right before they went to accept an offer, they got cold feet. We went through all of that just for them to come back and say, you know what? It's because we're doing calculations again and it's just not going to look good and X, Y, and Z. Now, take in mind the amount that we had originally said that we were going to sell it for, what we were initially anticipating, that's what they were getting. It wasn't like I put it on the market and now they're getting $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 less than what we had anticipated. No. What changed was that they didn't take the time to pay off the debt that they had initially planned to pay off, because they sped up the process because they got impatient. And in doing so, they're losing their deposits that they've made with the builder, any upgrade money that they've made with the builder. Many times there's early termination fees with realtors, with title companies, and even with lenders, because there's work that goes into that. And there's certain fees that you accumulate during the process that are said to be paid at closing. But if you never get to closing, some of those fees still need to be paid. And so I think that that's one of the things that I see buyers struggle with the most, is when they're not quite ready and they know that they're not ready. And I usually let them go with, hey, don't get discouraged. This is the plan. Just stick to the plan. If you want, you can scroll on Zillow, Realtor.com, on the platform that I share with you guys, just to kind of window shop, to keep you motivated. to remember what you're doing all of this for. And it's not even a horrible idea if you go look at open houses necessarily, I don't think, as long as you go in with the clear understanding and mindset that you are just window shopping right now. And maybe I shouldn't say that anymore. Maybe I shouldn't say, like, maybe I should tell them not to go to open houses, because but I see people do it all the time and they are able to walk away. So again, it's just a matter of your perspective, your mindset, and your ability to walk away, I think, at the end of the day. So the last thing that I will say is the third thing on how to ensure not to bomb your deal is, once you are under contract, meaning that you as the buyer and the seller or the builder, whoever's selling the property, have come into an agreement and you have a legally binding agreement, well, even before that, be on your best financial behavior. What do I mean by that? I mean, absolutely no late payments. Late payments will bomb the deal. So you got to think about it. You are a buyer coming to a bank and saying, hey, Mr. Bank, I want to borrow X amount of funds to purchase a house that I'm going to live in. And I want to borrow that money because I don't have the money to buy the house. So most people, I would say about 85, maybe even 90% of my deals have some type of finance, and that number might even be low, but they have some type of financing. Financing meaning they're borrowing money from somebody, from a private investor, a hard money lender, or a bank. And most buyers are borrowing from an institution, a financial institution, a bank. There's a lot of risk involved with loaning somebody money. Think about it. When was the last time that you lent somebody money? Was there risk involved? Did you have to second guess whether you wanted to lend this person money or not? There's risk in loaning somebody money. And so yes, they're going to do their appraisal to ensure that their collateral is worth whatever they're loaning you, but they're also going to do a background check on you, essentially. So when they're pulling your credit, when they're checking if you've had foreclosures, repossessions, bankruptcies, they're checking what your financial integrity, so to speak, is. When they're checking to see if you're making your payments, that speaks on your financial integrity. Your credit is your financial integrity. So if you have a higher score, you're more trustworthy. If during the process of buying you make a late payment, you charge up your card. So let's say you do your application, you qualify, but then you go and charge up your cards, that changes your credit. That changes your credit usage. That probably changes your debt to income. It changes it probably changes your score. Yes, it changes your score. So don't run up your credit cards. Don't go and buy a new car. You gotta wait. You gotta wait until after you buy the house to get the new car. Just be on your best financial behavior. So the way that you qualified, all the information that you put on that application when you initially qualified, during the home buying process, you want to keep your financial profile, so to speak, as close to that as possible. So I hope this blesses somebody. I hope this helps, because it's absolutely the worst thing when you go under contract and you've committed to this house and you're excited and then the deal bombs. And what I see a lot happen too, one of the reasons that I hate when this happens, probably my number one reason that I hate when this happens, is because I see that after this happens, those clients get very discouraged. And a lot of times they don't come back and try to buy later. So don't put yourself in that situation of risking becoming that discouraged, losing a lot. I mean, you put a lot of time, effort, energy, not just you, but everybody involved in that transaction, and funds. There's typically a lot of funds on the table, or funds that you've already put into that house, like doing your inspection for that property. So I never want to see any of my clients go through this. At the end of the day, like I said, I there's only so much I can do from the realtor's perspective, and I really just hope that the advice that I'm giving, and um, the disclaimers, and just letting you know ahead of time that this sticks. So whether you're buying in my market or in somebody else's market, I guarantee you that these are helpful tips. And even when you're selling, be firm in your decision to sell. I'll leave you with one more story. I had a couple that had decided that they wanted to get divorced. And yes, I do recommend that if you're getting divorced, you sell the property. We can do a different video on that one day, but I do recommend that if you're getting divorced, or if you are divorced, that you sell that property and cut ties with that. But they decided that they wanted to get divorced, and so they wanted to be as amicable as possible in the process. And so they decided, we're going to sell the house, and then we're just going to go 50-50 on the proceeds. Like, we're going to take care of that before we go through the divorce. It's just one less thing for us to do. Okay, cool. I give them homework to do on how to prepare the house. I list the house. I start showing the house, doing open houses, and sure enough, after a couple of weeks of having it on the market, they decide it's cheaper to keep her. They don't want to get divorced. They'll just sleep in separate rooms and figure it out, because they just realize, what it's going to take for them to move on with their own lives. And, even if they are going to go 50-50, now they're going to have to pay their own bills and X, Y, and Z. And, at the end of the day, I'm pro marriage, so I'm glad that they stay together. But I do think that they could have saved a lot of time, effort, energy, and money by not getting that far in the process. So really taking the time ahead of time to review numbers, review the game plan, like think about it, and not make an emotional rash decision. Because they lost, like I said, I do typically charge early termination fees if we've gotten that far along in the process. The title company, sometimes we're running the title search right when we start the process. Repairs to the house that maybe they didn't really care for, moving stuff around, putting stuff in storage. So anyways, I really do hope that this helps somebody, and it encourages you if you're in the process right now of waiting and you're like, I'm just feeling so impatient. I hope that this blesses you and reminds you, like, just be patient. It'll all be worth it if you just stick to the plan. And, as always, if you are in the market to buy or sell in El Paso or the surrounding areas, I would love to chat with you. It's super easy to book a discovery call with me. I will put the link in the bio or the comments or the bottom section, and you all can easily set that up, and we'll just chat. Completely complimentary. You just tell me a little bit about what your goals are, and we'll go from there. Anyways, I hope you all are having an awesome day, and I will talk to you later. Remember, smart moves, strategic investments equal rich rewards. Talk to you soon.